Hey guys, welcome to Spill the Tea, Spilling the Tea. We've not totally decided on the name yet, but you're used to this being just an email, but we're trying something new this time. But before we dive in and talk about all of that, we'll give a quick intro in case you're like new to us, not super familiar, especially not familiar to seeing us in this platform in this kind of way through video. Maybe we've just been text on your screen in your email inbox. But yeah, we are Foxtrot Branding. Cassie, do you want to introduce us a little bit?
Yes, we are Foxtrot Branding. So I'm Cass, and that's Amanda. We are co founders of the design studio Foxtrot Branding. We have been running Foxtrot for coming up on 6 years, right? Yeah, we're
Yeah.
about to hit
Yeah, this is gonna be our 6th year in September, which is
our six
crazy.
year anniversary. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
crazy. So I am like the web design half of Foxtrot, and Amanda is our brand design half. We kind of both met basically when we were starting freelance journeys. And since we both kind of had like complementary skills, we were like, let's start a design studio together and see what happens. And it definitely looks different, I think, than we thought it might, but also in a way like it's kind of what
Better.
we
I don't
had
know.
in mind too. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's been a really interesting journey. But yeah, we've been doing Foxtrot together for 6 years. And I'm excited to kind of start maybe making like a more personal avenue for us to kind of like talk about business things and just kind of like get to know you guys better.
Yeah, we just wanted to kinda connect in a different way, and we can dive into here in a second about, why we're doing this new format for Spill the Tea, testing this new thing out, but, yeah, I think, for us, we're having a lot of big shifts in our business right now and trying to figure out what we want it to look like. Do we wanna keep it really small? Do we want it to feel more like an agency? All these things, but something that's big on our minds is just the way we connect online, and we want it to make more enjoyable for us but also more helpful for you all. So I think testing something new out like this, testing out more video format, because I know not all of us love to just sit and read emails, so maybe it'd be more fun to do a video kind of podcast thing. Maybe this turns into a podcast one day. We're not totally sure yet. We're gonna figure it out along the way and decide see what actually feels fun for us and good for us and our business and also feels helpful for you all too. So definitely give us any feedback if you like this format. That'd be really helpful for us.
Yeah, I'm super excited to do something that's a little bit more like casual because I think sometimes we felt like we love doing newsletters and I think we'll keep doing them in some format, but I think it's nice to be able to kind of like break that formality we feel like when we're writing and just show a little bit more of our personalities. Like I think sometimes it's kind of weird when you have like an online platform or a business and some people are all in on just being sharing like everything in their life and then some people definitely have like a hard cut of like this is my business self and I keep my personal self separate and I think sometimes that's like a weird thing for us to kind of figure out like how much of our personal selves do we want to share online, but I think we do want to like show more of our personalities and just be able to like connect a little bit more in a way that feels more casual, like I said. So
Yeah.
I'm excited
It's
about this.
especially interesting, I think, too, and we don't need to talk about this for too long because then we'll get distracted from our main topic. But just the fact that we are a team of two, it's not like one of us is the founder and then we have employees. It's like we're both co founders. And so we have to make all these decisions together, and it's really interesting to see how do we both feel comfortable showing up in the business and sharing who we are. And it's just really interesting, how do we want to engage. We have to kind of both be on the same page with all of that. So that's been
Yeah,
cool
true.
for us to figure out how do we as a team want to show up online and in the world as a business. So
Yeah, and I'm excited to like maybe, show more of that relationship too, like through doing a format like this where we can kind of share like how we talk through things and like what perspective we both bring to topics because it's a huge benefit to have a co-founder and to have two people, but like the caveat is you just have to always like talk through things and work through things and take the extra time to make sure you are on the same page about it.
mhm. Yeah. So I guess we can kind of dive into our topic here in a second, but maybe first we can talk about a little highlight, something positive. We always want to start these with something positive, and so we were thinking about what if we share a highlight from our weekend or something.
Yeah.
So, Cass, do you have something good, a highlight you want to share?
Yeah. I think my highlight from this past weekend, because we're recording on a Monday, maybe we'll keep doing that so we can do like a weekend
Yeah.
highlight thing. But I ended up going to Knoxville to see a show for a band that my husband was playing with. And we went to Pilot Light, and that was really fun. Me and my sister in law drove up, and like her husband is also in the band, and he didn't know that she was going to be there. So like we surprised him, and it was really fun to
Aw,
see them. It was a
that's
really
so
good time. There
fun.
were some really cool bands. There was this one called French Toast,
That's
and they did,
awesome.
like, themed songs, and they did this one song, and they were like, "This is a song about things becoming something that they didn't used to be," and they were like, "Vape shop, you used to be a Pizza Hut."
What? Vape
It
shop
was
used
so
to be
fun.
that's
They
so
were
interesting. I
they
wonder if
said
they're
they
singing about a
described
place there in Knoxville. I don't know.
I think they were local, so
Okay, that's so funny.
it was very, like, theatrical and, like, they had themed songs, and then there were,
Yeah.
like, some, just other more, like, typical bands, but it was really fun.
That's awesome. That's so fun. I guess my highlight, I didn't really do any like big things this weekend. I kind of just took a lot of time to just like do some introspection. I've been trying to figure some things out in my life and just like what I want next in my future and all of that. And there's a lot that goes into thinking about that.
Just,
And
little questions like that.
just little questions about like, do I want kids or not? Just like casual,
Yeah.
really easy decisions to make
Yeah.
in my late 20s. So that's something I've been thinking about and just like spending time with my family and talking about that with them and getting their perspectives. And that's been really nice. But then this morning, this was like kind of my highlight just because it's funny. I came out when I woke up this morning to feed my cats and Ralphie was looking out the window and he was like, where they're locked in on something. And I looked out there and I realized there's a little chipmunk that has been eating my tomatoes. I've had like 3 tomatoes now on my tomato plant out there. Just like I was like, I can't tell if they're being eaten or if they were like burning in the sun or something because they were just like mush. And I was like, what is going on with my tomatoes? And now I know the culprit. It's a
Oh,
chipmunk coming
no.
and it was so cute. I took a picture. I wonder if I can try to like show.
It's, like,
Adorable
so cute,
chipmunk,
you
but I
can't be
caught
that
him.
mad.
I know. I was like, I'm not even upset because look at
Oh, he
him.
is really cute. He
Like so
deserves
happy.
it, you know?
Genuinely, I would like he looked like he was really enjoying the tomatoes. So I was like, you know what? That plant is his now. Like that's fine. And it was entertaining Ralphie, so it's kind of a win-win, except for everyone except for me, because now
Sure.
my tomatoes are all being eaten. But whatever, it's fine. Well, I guess today, what are we drinking? What are we drinking? I am drinking tea for Spill the Tea today.
I'm being,
And we have our
really
matching
boring. We do
cups.
have our matching cups.
Cute.
I'm just drinking black coffee. Well, I guess technically an Americano because I have an espresso machine.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys know, but I have an espresso machine. It's kinda fancy.
Fancy.
It actually saves us money though because my husband would used to get, like, espresso, like, every morning when we lived, like, closer to a coffee shop, and so when we moved, we
Mm.
were like, "We have to get something." But yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
drinking
and
black
that's like
coffee.
$8 a day or something, right? Like, how much do those
It's so
cost?
expensive. I At this
That's
point,
it
it's
is a
paid for
lot.
itself, like, if we really were like, we could make coffee in other ways, but it is really nice, I'll be honest.
I think it's nice to have those little ways to, like, treat yourself every day. Like, make every day a little bit more special, a little bit more nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive in then to our topic today. So today we're gonna be spilling the tea on how we manage to take, like, 6+ weeks of vacation every year. We can also share a tiny bit about what we did on our summer vacation, and then just dive into, like, how do you actually make that possible? Because I know for a lot of people, like, it's really hard to, like, step away from your business. Like, how in the world do you do it? How in the world do you set aside the time? Or how do you manage to, like, financially prepare for that? So we're going to talk about all that today. I guess real quick, just like what did we each do during our 3 weeks of
Yeah, and
summer
also, like,
vacation?
when do we normally take that time off?
Mhm.
We normally do take, like, a summer vacation that's about 3
Yeah.
weeks, and then a winter vacation that's about 3 weeks. Those are our, like, scheduled in ones, and then we will often have, like, a couple of, like, vacations or little trips, like, pop up that will work into our schedule, but we always take a summer vacation, usually, like, June into July.
And like those are times where we're like absolutely unplugged, whereas other random trips, like sometimes like I went to Colorado this spring to visit my friends. Like I was still kind of working for some of those days and not on some of the others because it was like a weekend trip. So that's kind of how we
Yeah.
manage little things like that.
So what did you do on your summer break?
Yeah, so my summer break was awesome. Well, half of it was awesome, half was less awesome because I got sick after my trip. But for 12 days, I went and did a really incredible trip with EF Ultimate. There's like a tour group for people ages like 18 to 35, I believe. This is a trip I booked last year, post a breakup, and I was like, I need to do something for myself. So this was like a gift to myself post breakup kind of trip. But I did a 12-day trip through Switzerland, Italy, and France, and it was awesome. It was so much fun. We basically just did like a lot of hiking. Like it was a hiking focused trip. It's like their hike the Alps trip, I believe, and it was just incredible. Like every hike was like pretty challenging, but also all had like the most amazing views I've ever seen. Like we do not have mountains like that anywhere around here in North America. I feel like it's like just the vibes were so different, and
Mhm.
just like everything was so big and so snowy and beautiful and clear, and it was just like just amazing views everywhere you look. Basically, ate lots of good food. All the people were awesome, so that was like just such an incredible trip overall.
How did you even find out about that? Like, you're definitely more of a traveler, especially like international traveler than I am. I wouldn't even know where to start, like, to find a guided trip like that.
Yeah, I had heard about it. I've had friends who did trips with them either in high school or college. And I
Mm.
had just like followed like their Instagram for a while. And so when I saw stuff coming up for their like Black Friday sale, I jumped on it. So it was awesome. I might do another trip with them. Like I've thought about doing like a Tokyo or like South Korea trip or something. Like somewhere I want to go on group tours like that are guided to places I wouldn't normally go by myself that seem like really intimidating.
Mhm.
Either just because of like the nature of like the language being so different, or just how much like logistical stuff there is to figure out for a big trip like that. Like that's why I loved this tour, because I felt like honestly the most relaxed and joyful I have felt in like a long, long time on this trip, because it was just everything was planned for me. Everything was organized. I did not have to worry about any transportation. I just showed up and just got to enjoy it. And that like made such a huge difference. I was like, I could not have had this experience on my own. Doing it with a tour group was well worth it. Well worth the extra cost for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, if not, it's going to take so much like planning time. And like, honestly, I
Mhm.
feel like the experience
A
is
lot
going
of
to be a lot
stress.
more experimental if you're kind of trying to figure it out as you go, and you wouldn't
Mhm.
have had that like space in your brain for it to be as relaxing as it sounded like it was for you.
Yeah, and I think there's like a time and place for different kinds of travel, and I've done lots of
Sure.
solo travel, and I maybe one day would do a solo travel to Europe again, but like it's just more fun honestly to like have so many great people to spend that time with. I just felt like no matter where I was going or what I was doing, there was always someone who was interested in the same thing, or like I could enjoy dinner with anyone I went out with, and it was just always a good time. So, that was great.
I'm very inspired. I don't travel as much as you do, for sure. Amanda's definitely like the traveler out of the two of us. And for my break, or for our 3 weeks, I didn't even think I was gonna go anywhere. I was just gonna, like, chill at home because honestly, like, we were tired. It had just been a really busy first half of the year, just trying to keep up. We had things evolving with everything in our business, and just trying to make it work, We were tired from it basically. So,
Yeah.
when it came time for break, I was like, "I just want to, like, just totally unplug from work." I don't really have an issue, like, as long as everything is well set up and I don't have things lingering that like I really have to do for a client or like something hanging over my head. I have a pretty easy time just unplugging from everything if it's well set up. And I don't feel like, oh, I want to check email or like I want to like keep working on this thing. I did not feel like that at all.
Good.
So
Fun.
I was just ready to like chill. I did make a list of like things around that my house I wanted to do, homeowner stuff, very thrilling, but also just like reading, crocheting,
Just kinda
thrifting.
relaxing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can fill my time so easily when I'm not working. I think maybe I don't know if it's common for like freelancers or entrepreneurs to feel like I don't know what to do with myself if I'm not working. I don't really feel like that
Yeah,
though.
no, I
At
can
least
think of
for
a
like
million things to do when I'm not working, like, I do not
yeah.
struggle there.
Yeah, I don't like after a period I think I would, get a little bit bored of it if it went on for maybe a couple of months, but I there's just a lot of things I could fill my time with. But I did end
Mhm.
up taking a really short road trip to go see my sister who just moved to a beach town, and I took my other little sister with me, and me and my husband and her road tripped to see my sister, and like she was just freshly moved into her apartment, and we got to like go to the beach and hang out and get to see the town that she moved to, and that was really, really fun. It also happened to
Yeah.
be me and my husband's anniversary around that time, which we both were like, "Oh shit, it I guess that will be our anniversary." Like, we kind
Yeah.
of forgot.
Well, I guess you got a beach trip then for your anniversary.
We
That's
did,
nice.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
really nice, yeah.
that's
It
awesome.
was our 8th anniversary. Um, yes, I was very young when I got married. Very,
Yeah.
very, very,
You're
very
like,
young.
"Yeah.
Yep. I
Yep, you
look
do
young,
the
that's
math.
all.
Yep, it's
Yep,
correct."
mhm. But we had, like, a really nice dinner, and yeah, I feel like my break was everything I wanted it to be. I
That's
had a really
awesome.
good
Yeah.
time. Work-wise, there was, like, one thing I had to pop in and do. This is my, like, guilty admission. I did have to pop in and, like, finish onboarding a client because they had, like, booked right before we went on break, and I needed to give them their, like, questionnaire to start working on. Tiny bit of work
Yeah.
that I like, ate into that break, but I did it, and then I just, like, checked out again.
And the good thing is that's, like, fairly automated too, like, we've got the template, so it's just a matter of
Yeah, it
setting it
didn't
up
take me long
and
at all.
yeah,
Because I
yeah.
mean, if a client, it was a client project that was important for us to book to, like, meet a goal, and they were booking, like, right before we went on break. So, as an entrepreneur, there are just situations that come up, and it's like, "Okay, like, I gotta check in at night or on this weekend or, onto my break," but we try to set as many boundaries as we can, so that's not, like, our norm. We really try to set aside our break time to be just break as much as we humanly can.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good segue to the first part of, like, our topic today is just, like, the importance of taking rest as creatives and as business owners and taking extended breaks from work, I think for us, both of us have really realized over the years, like, it is not enough to just have a long weekend here and there, like, we need like, there comes a time in the middle of the year and the end of the year where we're both, like, so tired, we've been working really hard, and I do kinda like that style of, like, we're kind of in a sprint and then we pause and take a break. Like that works so well for us. But I think that also works well for most creatives and most business owners. Like if you are not taking breaks in your business or from your business, like you're going to get really burnt out and that's going to affect your ability to do a good job at work. But also like I think so many people kind of have this misconception or this feeling that like you have to like earn your break or earn your time off or like you can't take a break in the first few years or something, and I feel like that's not something you have to earn. Like it should be like this is just a standard of living, and for us that's so
Mhm.
important when because we're really big on like work life balance and all that for ourselves. And I think we've really gotten to a good place of like we really honor our need for time off so well now. And so I would love to like share more about that today. How do we actually make that happen? Like, okay, great. Like everyone knows rest is important, rest is good for your well-being and it's good for your business, but like how do you actually even freaking do it? So we're going to dive into all of that for sure.
Yeah, and I think there's a part of me when we talk about this too that just thinks about how much it is just like it's a human need to have this time off. And for me, like it just feels so essential to be able to take this block of time off more than just 1 week. Because in a way, being an entrepreneur is more can be more demanding in certain aspects, like stress wise, responsibility wise, pressure wise. It's just really high pressure. But at the same time, I
Like
know
compared
that
to
more.
like working for another company, like
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
in comparison to being an employee for someone. But at
Mhm.
the same time, I know that being an employee for someone comes with its own, stressors and responsibilities, and I feel like, it's just important as a human to be able to have, like, extended time off,
A
especially as
time to
creatives,
live and to not work and think about work.
and to be able to, like, fully reset your brain, 'cause I just feel like after 1 week, you've just started to decompress. When I started getting midway through week 2, that's when I started to feel, like, my creative energy coming back because I had that time to just, like, chill out. Because it takes you a second to get adjusted to,
Mhm.
like, "I should be doing something right now, I should be doing something," but,
Yeah.
like, you just need to be chilling.
Like, to let your body fully relax and match, like, your mind that's clocked out of work, like, you kinda need both, like, to
Yeah, and so
align there.
I just say that to say, like, I really think I wish everyone could have large blocks of time off because I just feel like it's so important for humans, and I feel like obviously, we live in a society, and it's messed up that we can't have these longer periods of time off because it really does help me stay sane, and it's essential for my mental health. Like, I come back really just feeling like a fully refreshed person.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think especially too with, like, if this is just how I feel, but I feel like if I'm putting in all this effort to run my own business and take the risk that that takes too, I want to have a higher reward. Like, I want to have way more vacation time than I would ever get if I was, working for some other company that has very limited time off. Like, I want to have a better lifestyle than I could have if I worked somewhere else. I want to be able to afford that for myself. And I'm really proud of us that we have been able to do that for the last several years. And I hope that only continues to get better and easier and all that to do. But I think it's so
Yeah.
important to like, if you're going to put in all this effort, it should really be worth it. And so, like, what is going to be worth it to you? And for us, that's like extended time off makes all the effort worth it.
Yeah, definitely, especially when there's always give and take, and, like, we don't have, benefits, as
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, you pay your own healthcare. Luckily, I am married and I get to be on my husband's healthcare, but, we probably take a little bit lower salaries than if we were to work somewhere and be, like, in a specialized designer, area of someone's business, or, there's a give and take. So I think it balances out, but it is essential that we have this time off, especially when we're, like you said, we're sacrificing in these other areas and taking bigger risks.
So let's talk about how we actually plan and schedule vacation time. I think this is like the first step. This is like the most important thing to do. Because if you're not like planning ahead, and you actually have to plan ahead further than you realize, I think, or further than most people may realize. But without doing that, like the time isn't going to happen. Like if you're not setting that aside, it's just not gonna happen. You're gonna get caught up in the day to day. You're gonna get fully. I mean, hopefully you get fully booked, right? But like you do need time off. So,
Yeah, especially if you want that full time off where you're not having any
mhm,
client work, you basically just have to put it on the calendar and plan everything else around that. Or else, even if like you only have like one client project you're working on during that period, you're still not able to fully disconnect. So if that's a goal for you to like be fully off from work from everything, you do need to like mark it on the calendar.
yeah. So what we usually do is we'll start at the like beginning of the year, and I mean, we already kind of have decided like what our chunks are like, how long of a break we're taking. But what you could do for yourself is at the beginning of the year or the beginning of a new quarter, plan out your next few months and mark that time off, like Cassidy said, and decide like how long you want to take off. And then like those decisions will then filter into the next steps you need to do, which we'll talk about here in a second, of just like financial preparation, planning, stuff like that you need to do. I think it may feel scary to like commit to a large chunk of time off, but I think like your future self is really going to thank you. And I know it can be just like very intimidating because you're like, how am I going to keep my business afloat if I'm not working? How am I going to bring in enough income if I'm taking this time off? But we'll talk about how to do that. So that comes to like our first big topic here about how to actually make this happen is actually like financially preparing yourself and your business. So Cassie, do you want to like kind of dive into the first part of that, which is like personal budgeting?
Yeah, I think that's probably like anyone's number one question when they're thinking about time off. It's like, yeah, I'd love to mark that time off on my calendar. Easy, done. But like how am I going to do that financially? That is going to be the number one factor, which is why we want to talk transparently about what that looks like for us, and some tips like personal budgeting and some other things you can do to help yourself feel comfortable getting to that point and knowing that you're going to have the income to either flow in while you're gone or balance it out before and after so that you feel like you're covered. So, as far as like personal budgeting goes, we each kind of set aside a portion of our income, so like our owner's pay that we take just into like a vacation fund kind of thing, or just however I think we both probably budget a little
Have
bit
different
differently.
processes somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, I do try to keep some kind of cushion, or in the past, I've had like a specific vacation fund that would cover the actual, for me, that would be like covering the actual cost of the vacation. For me, that's not like replacing the income that I would have during that time, but it is to cover the actual vacation that
I think it's
I
just
want
a
to
smart
do.
financial choice just in general to like kind of set aside money for things in life or like goals in life, like people have savings for a house or for a vacation, that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah,
that's
just
just
having
important to
having that
start
that
there.
planned out.
Mhm.
Mhm. So that's
Yeah.
like covering like what you want to do personally with your money during that time.
Mhm.
And then another thing we have on our list that we do is make sure we have business savings, because yes, you want to do everything you can to have that income flowing in before and after or during your break to make sure you're covered, but you can't control everything. And for me, like, I'm a very adverse person. Adverse
Risk,
averse.
risk.
Does it have a
I
D in
also
it?
risk
Risk
averse. I
averse.
don't know.
I don't like taking risks. I don't like leaving things up to chance. So for me, it feels really nice to know that we have extra in our business bank account because we've been not paying ourselves everything that we've been making, which is very standard business
Right. I guess to
practice.
give context to that, like we used to pay ourselves on a commission basis. So for every dollar that came through the business, 20% went to the business and then 80% was payout to us. We don't quite do the math that way anymore. And now we pay ourselves like a set salary amount every month, which took us a really long time to build up to doing that. But that also allows us, if we do have like a bigger month, we're not automatically paying that out to ourselves. We're setting that aside in the business, like Cass said. So we have that cushion there. So that if we ever do have a low month, or especially usually the month that we're on vacation is like gonna be a low financial month, we know that we can still pay ourselves the same salary amount because we had that extra cushion left in the business.
If we didn't have that business savings though, I would even, if we were still doing things we'll talk about to make sure we are boosting our revenue and having enough to coming in to cover us for that month, I would feel a lot more hesitant to take that break if I didn't know I had that backup cushion. So I think it's important to build that cushion from day one of your business. Cause I know, like, in the first year of your business, you're probably not going to feel super confident taking a 3-week break. Like, that's probably not going to be realistic for most businesses. But I think building up that cushion will help you get there more quickly to where you feel like you
Mhm.
can take a more extended time away.
So the next thing we do is work on boosting our revenue. And we try to do this as much as we can before our breaks. And like we said, we kind of do things like kind of in a sprint, I guess. Like quarter one is usually like pretty busy. We're doing a lot of things. We're trying to book as many projects as we can and plan things out. But there's like some specific ways that we try to boost our income. Some of those ways are by like contacting past or current clients to see if there's like any extra work that they need, whether it's hourly work or maybe a half day or full VIP day. Our VIP day services are just like so great for getting some extra income here and there, and that's really helpful for us. We also run promotions or sales on like our templates and resources for designers, and then we also book extra clients for VIP days. So sometimes, like by booking extra projects before break, we are a little bit more busy, which does make us more tired, but like we're willing to do that before break in order to bring in that extra income. Like I think we crammed in like one or two extra clients. We just had some people who came in and were like, "Great, we can fit you in right here." And that's going to
Mhm.
we knew that that was going to be a little stressful or tiring, but it was like worth it to have that extra cushion. And then lastly, we also do just promoting affiliate resources sometimes. That doesn't bring in a ton of money, but like I feel like our approach is just like every dollar counts. So if we happen to make an extra, $50 here or there on some affiliate resource, that's great. That covers some other costs in our business.
And these would
Uh,
definitely all be things you'd wanna do well before you go on break, like, like, start contacting clients at least a month, in advance of your break because we do try to make the week before we try to wind down as much as
yeah,
possible and leave as little to do in that week before we leave as possible. I think in the past, we didn't, like, really know to prioritize that, and we would kinda be, like, working on things up until the last minute
like
with
so
people.
stressed last minute.
Yeah, like, and not leaving any buffer. I guess you want a buffer week to wind things down because if you end a full project and the last day is, like, that Friday before you leave, that's not gonna be a good client experience, and that's not gonna be a good experience for you
Because a
because
lot of times,
often.
I was just gonna say sorry, but like clients have questions usually too. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, but you're gonna be gone, so we need to have that time.
So for a formal timeline, we always try and tie that up at least a week before we go on break. With the clients that we're doing maintenance for on their clients we've worked with in the past, like reoccurring work, we can kind of cut that a little bit closer because we'll just do that small one-off project for them, tie it up, and if they had questions, it's no problem for them to kind of like come back and ask that when we come back. But for first-time clients and full project timelines, we really try to protect that buffer week as much as we can.
And I think that's really important too, just like the way that we handle client communication before break. I think that is like the best way to ensure you're gonna have like smooth operations like while you're away. So there's a couple things that we do. We actually made like a whole checklist. We're like, okay, pre-break, here's our checklist of like everywhere we need to check in with clients, all the automated like email response messages that we need to set up and schedule, all of that.
'Cause I think it's like all of these things for me are things that are gonna make me feel comfortable taking the
Mhm.
time off and then fully being away during break, and we've learned a lot, because 'cause we've done this for about 5, 6 years now, and there have been times when I didn't communicate, like, really well with clients or in enough advance, and then I felt bad because, like, I didn't give enough of a heads up, so that's why we prioritize all the communication so much because you want to feel fully within your rights to step away. Like our bookkeeper is really good about this. Like when she goes on maternity leave, she'll let us know a month at least in advance, like, hey, this is going to be happening in a month. And it just feels really professional and like leaves no room for anyone to feel abandoned or like you had a bad business practice or something.
Right, and she's really good about being like, she's gone, but also here's how you're gonna be taken care of, like she's got a team or whatever it is for your business, right? And so for us, like we don't have other team members currently that are like managing projects or doing anything like while we're not also working. But I think just like, yeah, just letting your clients know what's up and planning ahead, and that way they can feel taken care of is really important. So usually it's like 1 or 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks is better, but that's before
Okay.
our break. We will email them and we'll send out two different emails. One email to all of our past or current clients, and that was to inquire to see if they had any extra work that they needed us to do. And so we just used like a template and sent it to everybody pretty much. And then we had a separate email that we sent out to any potential clients or leads, anyone who we've got kind of loose ends with, or who hasn't booked a call yet but inquired about a project. Like we email all of them like, hey, we've got a few limited spots for calls in the next week or two. If you would really like to book a project with us within, X timeline, it's important to book this call soon, stuff like that, just so that they're aware, like, hey, it gives them that little push, like if they've already inquired but haven't taken the next step, like this is a good time to get this taken care of.
Yeah, just doing everything you can as early as you can to prepare your leads and your existing clients, and like your social channels. There's a lot of touch points, so it
Hmm.
is really helpful to make a big list, or else you probably will forget things. And I just hate the feeling of like being like, shoot, I forgot to tell that client, and it happens sometimes when you are a small business and you don't have a full team and you're trying to remember everything yourself. There's probably going to be something you miss inevitably, but making that list helps us check things off and make sure we've got all of our like one-on-one communication done, and then also our automations. Amanda, if you want to talk about like what those kind of look like to make sure anyone new that inquires gets the proper message.
Yeah, we had automations on our honeybook, so anyone who inquires, they got an automatic response letting them know that we were out of office, when we would be back and respond. But then we also included a link for them to go ahead and schedule a call on our calendar for when we are returned. That way they could just go ahead and feel like that's taken care of, because we definitely don't want to leave those inquiries like, I don't know, just sitting there with no response. We're going to lose that potential income. If that's someone who wanted to work with us, they're just going to like feel ghosted basically if you don't take care of that. And I think that also helps kind of secure that momentum if you can go ahead and just get them to book a call. I feel like they're less likely to then go and like work with someone else or search for another option while you're away. Of course, that's not like a foolproof thing. Not everyone who inquired during our break ended up booking a call, but several did. So we did actually have sales calls scheduled for when we return. And that felt really good for us to know that, like, cool, we've got like potential business coming our way when we come back. So that felt really
Mhm.
good for us to have.
And that is a risk you take when you step away, especially for a long period of time. If you're fully gonna kind of be shutting the business down, for that time when you're gone and you're not going to be able to personally reply, you might feel like you're taking kind of a risk on losing potential business. But if you have your system set up to let them book a call, like that makes me feel okay about it, and like I've done everything I can. And if you're taking, a shorter amount of time, like let's say you're newer, or maybe it's just your vibe, you only like want to take a week off, I think that's really reasonable, and like most potential clients are going to fully understand that. For us, when they see like how long we're going to be gone, I think people might be like, whoa, that's a
Mhm.
long time away. But some, if they're really interested in working with you, they usually are willing to wait. And then some, we've actually gotten a compliment before from somebody who was like, I love that you guys take this time off and you like respect your mental health, and like the fact that you need rest. Like that makes me feel like you're the kind of business I want to work with. So that was a cool like message we got from somebody one time. I was like, okay, so like, that is putting a vibe out, to people that like this is the kind of business we are. And if it is someone who's like, man, I have to wait 3 weeks to even get a call with them, I want
Because
this
we
done in
have
two
had
weeks.
those responses too. And we're like, okay,
That's probably
immediately
not someone
no.
we would choose to work with anyway. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't get too worked up about it. You just do everything you can, and that's just a part of having a small business. If you're not going to have somebody, like doing
Mhm.
admin for you, like it's okay.
One thing that can be really helpful for just like client communication in general, because like we're all about our templates and like easy resources, is we have a effortless client communication library. So this is like a Google Doc template, and it has like 20 plus email and just like project message templates that you can use for every single step. That is a super great resource, and you can find that on our website if you go to foxtrotbranding.com/education. I just wanted to mention that here because I think that client communication is so important in order to like give yourself that mental clarity when you're taking your time off and I think that
And
resource
it
could be
can be
really
hard
helpful
to
for you.
strike the right tone sometimes of being
Mhm.
professional but friendly, and it can be exhausting to write the same type of message over and over again, which
Or
is why
even
we
think of
made
what to
this.
say the first time. Like, even to just
Yeah,
know how to handle things, because that guide also includes, I forgot to mention, but it also includes, like, 13 bonus templates for what to say and do in difficult client situations. Because for a
yeah,
lot of us, I mean, when we were starting too, we had so many questions, so much self-doubt around how to talk with clients and how to handle tough situations with them too. So, I would have died
yeah,
for
just
a resource like that.
and it's honestly even more than just having the template, like, you get to see sometimes a little peek into, like, the process of how we do things and the way
Mhm.
that we word responses to clients. So, I think that's a great place to start when it comes to, like, templatizing things in your business.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, overall, I think just like it's important to remember as a business owner that taking time off and extended breaks is not a luxury. Like, I think it should just be the standard for everyone for your well being as a person, regardless of like your productivity at work, but just as a person. I think we all need more time to just live and just exist and be and enjoy our lives. So, especially as a business owner, I really encourage you all to like make that happen for yourself. Find a way to make that happen, whether it's a 1 week break or a 3 week break, or maybe it's little things sprinkled throughout the year. Just like be really intentional about setting aside that time because it is possible. And I know it feels very impossible sometimes, but if you follow, the things we talked about today, if you plan ahead, whether that's planning out your calendar or planning out your finances and setting yourself up in a really smart way, that's going to make that possible for you. And I think you're going to be so grateful that you did that for yourself in the future.
I end up feeling like if I didn't do this, I'm kinda scared as to what,
Mhm.
like, would have
We would
happened. I would
not be
either
happy. We would
no, we would
maybe
not.
not still be running the business, like, if we didn't have time
I
off.
say that a lot, like, without the time off, I wouldn't I either wouldn't be running the business or not at the capacity that we are, just because it does come with a very high level of stress sometimes and a high level of responsibility. So I think I know for myself I really need that time off. And if you're someone who is in the first month or year or years of building your business, like I said earlier, I think you're not going to be able to probably start by taking like 2, 3 week breaks off. Maybe you can. If you can, do it. But if
Mhm.
you're
If you
feeling
have more
like that,
support in your life, you may be able to do that or in your business somehow. It kinda
yeah,
depends, like, I think if you have, like, a partner who has a good income, then maybe that makes, like, the money part a little less scary to take that time off. There's, like, different aspects of people's lives that may determine whether it's, like, difficult or not in different aspects, but
the details of it are going to look different for everyone as far as how much time you actually take off when you do it, how much you pay yourself during that time, or whatever financial support you have. But I think the most important thing is just to get used to that routine for yourself. Even if you are more spontaneous and you want to take vacations at different times, at least get used to like building out that time for yourself and creating a system for what that looks like for your business when you are out, so you can have that time and step away. Like, start practicing that, even because I think back to the first year of our business, and we had a lot of like startup energy, and we didn't have like a lot of overwhelming clients timelines and stuff we had to be doing. It was kind of more like we just had more free time. But I still think I can't remember exactly what we did in our first year, but if I were to go back and do it again, I would still want to practice, like, this is when we're going to go on our vacation or a break and step away, and we're going to make sure we have these automations or whatever we need to set up so that you can gradually build it up. If that is a big goal for you, just start practicing it, and then you can grow it from there to what you ultimately want it to be.
yeah, and I think a good way to practice too, if like totally stepping away for you is still just seems so impossible, like you could still try to do trips where you're working half the time and like you're booking a trip that's goes across a weekend. And so maybe you are working like 1 or 2 days kind of part time. Could you cut your hours down and just check your email and just schedule calls, but like try not to do client work when you're gone? Like I said, I still do trips like that too, where I'm like kind of half in, half out, and that's still so much fun because I'm still getting to like change things up and like do something enjoyable and fun in my life and do this little trip, right? So I think that could be a great way to like dip your toes into like trying to take a step back from your business and take a break. But eventually I still encourage everyone to like take a full break off of work because it's so nice. It's truly like
Yeah.
so like just re-energizing, refreshing to have
It
that.
brings you clarity. I think every single type of creative needs that, or it is forced upon them, because if you
Oh, yeah, you
don't,
burn out and
you're
then
gonna burn out and end up taking a longer break that's not gonna
you
be as
feel
fun.
bad during the break. You feel
Exactly.
like crap and you're like, "I'm not creative, I have no ideas, my business is failing, my life sucks." Like, it's it's gonna, like, spiral if you're being forced to, or you can literally get sick, like, burn yourself out so
Mhm.
much that you're just quite literally sick and exhausted,
Yeah, and
and
I don't think
that's
there's
not
a
good.
way to always perfectly avoid that. We
No.
can't control everything, but I think by building in these breaks, you're kind of like giving yourself some padding to really try and make sure that you don't get to that point of
Mhm.
burnout, because you have that built in for yourself. And everyone's going to be different. Not everyone is going to be like us where you want to take 6 full weeks off. I know some people talk about like feeling more stressed if like they're not checking their email inbox at all. So you don't have to make it look a certain way. Just maybe try out some different types of breaks and see what you like, and then see how you can start building it in.
So I guess to close things out, we would love to continue like doing these. Definitely give us feedback if you like this format or not. But we'd also like to add in a little segment where we answer your questions. So we don't have any questions today because this is our first time doing this. But if you guys do have questions, it can either be about, the topic we are, shared the last month, or just anything, then you can feel free to DM us those at Foxtrot Branding on Instagram. It's a great place to connect with us on. If you also just want to like learn from us and see some other content, educational designer content, we share a lot on TikTok as well. So Cassidy's is at Cassidy.Foxtrot and mine is Amanda.Foxtrot. So you can find both of us there. Do you have anything
Yeah.
else, Cass, in mind? Anything to share?
I don't think so. Yeah, I
Maybe
don't
just a quick
know.
reminder, just to like, if you guys are interested in that client communication library, go to our website and check that out too. And all of our other free resources and templates are also there. And those are all great if you're like starting up your business or in your first few years.
Yeah, if you've watched this far, thanks so much for hanging out with us. I'm really excited to keep doing this. Hopefully, we'll get more streamlined and talk about all the different aspects of our design business from our perspective as kind of chill, down to earth people who actually, our business is not like our entire life. We really enjoy having a work life balance as much as we can. So that's kind of the perspective we bring to things. But yeah, I've had a great time.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, we will see you guys next month for our next Spill the Tea.
Yeah, bye guys.
Bye.